quick story about something that happened. Several years back, I was at Mardi Gras, and I do go there regularly. So my students at Bethel College, where I teach, Christian students always ask me, why it's what? I like to party. So that's not actually why I go there. I go there because I like to dialogue about spiritual things, religious matters, anybody who's interested in the dialogue. And a friend of mine said, you got to go to Mardi Gras because people love talking about spiritual things. And I said, Mardi Gras? And he said, yeah, Mardi Gras. And I said, why? And he said, I don't know. And so anyway, we went there, and I have a number of these different stories. But one of the stories was this guy walks up to me, and he was a student at Ohio State University. And I had this goofy sign that I carried around. It's a long story. But the sign was simply, it asked the question, what is truth? I carried this around. It just really created a lot of dialogue. And this guy walks up to me, and he's a college student at Ohio State. He says, you're just a slave. And then he started walking away. And I looked at him and said, wait, what'd you say? And he said, you're just a slave. And I said, well, why do you say that? And he said, well, I'm taking a philosophy class. We're studying Nietzsche and his whole notion of slave morality. He said, you're a Christian, right? I said, yeah. And he said, well, you're just a slave. You're a slave to God, to your belief in God. You're a slave to the Bible because you have to do whatever the Bible says is right, whatever you think God is claiming is right and wrong. But he said, I'm not a slave like you. I'm free. I can decide for myself what's right and wrong. I can determine my own moral positions. I am free. I'm advanced. I'm not like you, just this moral slave. And you should be free like me. You should be able to determine for yourself what's right and wrong. And I said, okay, well, how about this is what's right for me? I'll take my sign and clobber you over the head with it. I said with a smile. And he's like, no, you can't do that. You got to have compassion. And so my response to him was, I thought you said I could be free and determine for myself what's right and wrong, but now you're saying I got to have compassion. And I said, now I'm your slave? And he's like, well, no. And I said, well, I thought you said I should determine for myself what's right and wrong. And I said, it seems to me like you're saying there's this thing, compassion, that we should all agree to. And I said, I agree with you. We should be compassionate. And the reason we should be compassionate is because compassion is an objective moral value that we should affirm, rooted in a transcendent God, and not just something I made up or you made up. And so, anyway, that was our conversation going on.
Why does that have to be rooted in God, I guess? Like, I think a lot of people would agree, like, if you ask me, like, what's my moral code or something, I guess the best answer I could give you, I don't know if it's the best one, but just, you know, it seems to make sense to me from everything I've experienced so far that if you follow the golden rule, you know, treat others like you want to be treated, you're going to be okay. I mean, why don't you question what's stopping you from stealing from someone if you don't have God watching over you? Well, I don't want them to steal from me. Well, what's the basis for that? That's it right there. Like, I don't want that to happen to me, so I'm not going to act that way either. And I think if we all are into that together, as a whole, we're going to be better off. I'm going to be better off if that happens. Hopefully everyone else is too. And if someone cheats the system, I mean, it's bad for everyone. And so it just seems to like coalesce into that there is this sort of shared, like, and this is I think what Hitchens was saying at some point there is this sort of shared morality that you come together through society, and it doesn't have to be based in God or faith or religion.
So I guess I'm still not clear on what you're basing it on, just your own opinion, or just what you like?
What seems to work, what seems to allow people to work together to get along. Now, do bad things happen? Yes. I mean, people are going to do, some people will do good things, some people will do bad things. And again, so where does that come from? Yeah, it's a tough question, but again, ideally, if everyone was acting in their own best interest or shared, like you don't, like you're treating others like you want to be treated, I think everyone would agree we would be better off. The problem is some people break that rule, and that's where these problems come from.
I had a quotation that I included in a book that I wrote called Building Belief. The quotation is from Ted Bundy, and Ted Bundy was a serial killer, and I actually found this quotation in an ethics book. And it's a frightening story. He murdered, I think, something like 35 women. It's horrific. And when he was interviewed by his lawyer about why he committed these gruesome murders, he said, let me tell you in my own words what I was thinking as I was about to rape and murder this woman. And he goes through and he says, in a nutshell, I am, in a sense, a naturalist. I don't believe there's any higher moral law. I believe that I should do what's good for me and what I like and what I enjoy. And I can tell you, lady, that I'm going to enjoy raping and murdering you. And who are you to tell me that I shouldn't do that? You don't like it? So what? I like it. That's what I want to do. There's no standard by which you can judge that that's wrong. It's just my opinion versus your opinion. I'm stronger than you. I will do it. And then he did it. And so again, I understand, and I think we're really on the same page here that we both see that as a horrific event. But the question is, what justifies that? And just because, well, that's what I like, if it's just what we like, that's sort of a relativism, I think that's kind of sort of dangerous.
Well, I think that does feed back into that, two responses to that. One is like, well, no, you don't want to be the victim in that case, so you are treating someone differently than you want to be treated. And so it doesn't work. I mean, that's where this morality is coming from. Why is that a bad thing? Well, because you're not equals in that relationship. You don't want to be in both positions there. Someone's not getting treated correctly.